It's time to accelerate. Hey friends, this is Andy. Welcome to episode 735 of Accelerate, the sales podcast of record. Hey, I have another excellent episode lined up for you today. Joining me as my guest on this week's show is Stu Heinecke. Stu is the author of a new book titled Get the Meeting, which is a follow-up to his previous book, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. And if you recall, Stu joined us on the show to discuss that book a couple of years ago. Now, Stu is considered the father of what we call contact marketing, which is the art of getting meetings with top influencers who can really have an impact on a decision that you're trying to win. And in this week's episode, Stu and I will be talking about his new book, which is really a field guide for his first book, How to Get a Meeting. And it's a beautiful book full of illustrations, which you'd expect from Stu since he's a cartoonist for the Wall Street Journal, as well as precise instructions for how you can put together contact marketing campaigns. I mean, down to even instructions for how to fold a box, which I thought was fascinating. Today, Stu and I are going to talk about contact marketing. He'll give us some great examples to inspire you to use it. We'll start by talking about why contact marketing is all about getting more personal, which, resonates with me. It's about being more human with your buyers. We'll talk about why contact marketing is so effective in reaching out and getting meetings with these key influencers, and how the authentic personalization you use creates impact and true differentiation. And then we'll get into specific examples of contact marketing campaigns that Stu has used with great success, including one of my favorite tactics from the book, or strategies from the book, what he calls pocket campaigns. The bottom line with contact marketing is doing something fun that resonates with the person you're trying to reach out to. It's a way to make yourself memorable, because one meeting, if you can get that one meeting, it can change everything. So we'll get into that and much, much more. Before we get to Stu, I want to talk with you about VanillaSoft. VanillaSoft is the industry's leading sales engagement platform, but most people simply refer to it as the solution. It's the solution to ensure sales development reps make the right number of attempts for every lead. It's the solution to ensure sales development reps use more than just email, that they consistently use LinkedIn and the dreaded telephone as part of their sales playbook. It's the solution to serve the sales development rep the next best lead over and over again so that they hit their activity numbers. The solution starts with the right sales cadence, and that's why you need to check out VanillaSoft's guide on sales cadences. It's titled Sales Cadences, What Works, What Doesn't, and Why You're Frustrated. And you can get your copy now, free of charge, at vanillasoft.com/Andy Paul. That is vanillasoft.com/Andy Paul. All right, let's jump into it. Stu, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. So it's been a while since your last book actually was the occasion of the last time you were here.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about your new book today.
Yes. Fantastic.
Good. So your new book called Get the Meeting, which is a follow-on to a book I really enjoyed, and I enjoyed this one as well, but enjoyed both your books. The first book called How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. And maybe we just do a little refresher course to get started, because you've invented this category. One of the great ways to own a category is to
cool.
invent a category. And the category you've invented is called contact marketing. So explain to people, just to refresh their memories, what the contact marketing is.
Sure. Well, and actually, I got to say, I was just the lucky guy who got to name it, but I surely didn't invent it.
Well, I know, but take the credit.
No. I love it. And in the new book, there's a foreword by Russ Klein, the CEO of American Marketing Association,
Mm-hmm.
and he called me the father of contact marketing. I'm thinking, great, that's cool.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, let's do it. So, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone came about because I discovered early on in my career, and I've got a crazy career. I'm one of the Wall Street Journal cartoonists, but I'm also a marketer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I should say I'm a marketer, but I'm also one of the cartoonists.
Cartoonists, right?
To put it the right way around. So, I discovered real quickly that cartoons were incredible marketing devices. Or engagement devices, I guess, is a better way to put it. They're the best read and remembered parts of magazines and newspapers. I knew that from readership surveys. And when you think about the nature of humor, it's about truth revealed in a twist. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's, not so simple to do, or create. But if you think about it, everything we find funny, we're laughing and then we go, oh my God, that's so true. It's like that. It is like that, right? I know someone like that, or I've been through that.
Right.
So here's this device that that you can put into a campaign that gets more attention than just about anything you could put in print, and really almost anything you could put on a screen as well. And people love them. I guess you could play with a pun here and say that they're really drawn to them. I
suspect that's not the first time you've used that.
No, that's true. I'm embarrassed to use it, but they are drawn to them, and then the next thing that happens is if they read it, they like it. If it's funny to them at all, they could either laugh out loud, or they could go, "That's cool," or "That's cool." What's happening there is that you're planning a point of agreement, and it's a very, very powerful, very persuasive element to use in a campaign. So I knew this was going to be great to use in direct mail. That's where I thought I would use it. And I wanted to create direct mail campaigns for publishers, magazine publishers at the time. And so I wanted to use the mixture of cartoons and personalization so that each cartoon would be about each recipient. So very quickly, I got two test campaigns going, one for Rolling Stone and the other for Bon Appetit. And they both beat their controls, meaning that both set new records actually for response. And I thought, okay, great. I want to bring this to the rest of the publishing industry. Here's what gets more relevant, because I want to penetrate the rest of the publishing industry. Just a small thing.
Sure.
And I realized, well, what I need to do is I need to put together a little campaign. I didn't know what to call it, so I called it a contact campaign, because there was just no name for it. And the contact campaign consisted of an 8x10 print of a cartoon, each one personalized to each recipient, and that's my device. So it's a personalized cartoon 8x10 print. Right. With a letter that said, hey, this is the device I just used to beat the controls for Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit, and I think we should put this to the test for your titles. And that campaign went out to about 24 VPs and directors of circulation and or consumer marketing at Time Inc., Condé Nast, the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, etc. So we're just 24 people. And sometimes if I'm giving a speech to a group, I love asking them to guess what kind of response rate I might have gotten. Because, keep in mind, in direct mail, they used to say that a 1% response rate was a respectable response. Right. Like, that's typical. Right. There is no such thing. But if I got 1%, that would be disastrous of 24 people. I couldn't. That's like, you can't measure that. Right. If I got a 10% response rate, that's 2.5 people. It's just, I needed to get 100% response rate. And then I knew then that there was this other backstop from a courtesy of of direct marketing, wherein they would say that 100% response rates were absolutely impossible. But that's what I needed. And I know we're both involved in sales. That is possible. Right. And so that's exactly what happened. I got through to all of them. All of them became clients. It was worth millions of dollars to me because it started my business. Right. And it all came from a campaign that I spent about $100 on that went to 24 people, and it changed everything. Right. And that's kind of the nature of contact marketing, not the cartoon part necessarily, but just that you're reaching out to a relatively small group of people. It could be just one person. In fact, you could do a campaign to just one person. But otherwise, more typically, you're putting a campaign out to maybe the top stratum of accounts in an ABM model, for example. So it's a small group of people. You might spend a lot per person. Some of my campaigns cost, my big boards cost $250 a piece to send these things. But if each contact is then worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, sure. That's a great investment. Yeah. Well, so that's sort of the genesis of, let's say that's my contact patch with contact marketing. But I soon discovered people have been doing the most amazing things out there. And one of the, this is almost like collecting blooper stories. There's so many blooper stories out there. Well, there are also all kinds of really, really fascinating stories of what people have been doing to break through.
Yeah, and I think that's really, I look at this book as really sort of the field guide or tactical guide to your first book, right? Because, it's chock full of examples and case studies of what people have done to use various engagement devices, I guess as you call it, to break through the noise and to get in touch with people. And so I guess one of the first questions really that's sort of interesting when you sort of think about it is breaking through is hard, but when we think about a meeting, and not to be too old school about this, we tend to think about a meeting as being something face to face. A lot of business, especially in sales, they don't really care to meet people these days, right? They want to be able to do everything virtually and so on. And I think that personally is in this world where we're trying to do more things virtually, there is a virtue in doing that without being redundant, is that the ability to actually get in front of someone in person has so much more impact if done correctly. And so thus, I see this hopefully as this book as a way to get people to think again about, we really do need to get out of the office and actually go meet these, as you said, these really targeted decision makers or influencers or stakeholders, whomever we need to meet. And in some cases, they may say, I'm a little reluctant to meet. I want to spend enough time. Can't we do this via Zoom? It's like, oh man, look at Stu's book and say, let's find a way to meet in person because the impact is going to be 10x or whatever it is of meeting you on Zoom.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I want to make a comment about, you just said some people might think that's old school. I think calling anything old school is old school. Well, it's stupid.
I know it's stupid, but I was trying to preempt people thinking.
Yeah, don't fall into that trap because, let's say direct mail was it's just things follow cycles. We know that.
I think what's never gone out of fashion is actually meeting people in person.
That's right. That's so powerful. You're right. That's the gold standard.
And I think this is where many companies are doing themselves a disservice because, granted, we've changed the economic model. We're changing selling things on a subscription. But if you've got a customer that over a course of 4 years is going to give you $1 million worth of business, get on a freaking airplane and go meet the person. And if they're reluctant, as sometimes they are, hey, I don't have enough time. We're going to do business with you. Yeah. No. Get on a plane, find a way to get engaged with that person and go meet with them. It'll solidify not only your odds of getting the business, but also solidify the relationship.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. I have clients, big clients that it took quite a while before we met, actually. So we did do the business before meeting, but you're right. When you meet someone in person, everything changes.
Yeah, it's great as great. We're using Zoom as we record this. I love Zoom. I use Zoom maybe half a dozen to a dozen times a day. If I could meet people in person in critical times, so it's really important, I'll always do that.
Yeah, I agree. That is, I think, what you want to do.
Yeah. So this book, and we're going to hopefully get some examples from it, goes through this idea about, how do you break through the noise? How do you capture someone's attention? How do you activate their interest in what it is that you're doing? And you have a variety of categories you talk about. I thought it'd be interesting to maybe get some examples for people just to make it more real for them. But the categories I sort of liked the examples in, and maybe you can recall, gifting is one I think is underutilized. So let's start there. How can somebody effectively use this idea of gifting? And there are services like Sendoso and others that are out there that enable this and make it much easier to do. But give us some examples of how people use gifting effectively to sort of break through and engage with somebody.
Yeah, well, two things come to mind really quickly. One is that personalization is often a feature it should be a feature in gift giving. They ought to be relevant gifts, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the chapters in the book in Get the Meeting is devoted to the new landscape of personalization. Because here's the thing, when I was creating all those direct mail campaigns for the publishers, and I was using personalization within the cartoons, That is a form. I guess I called it wide personalization in the book. I had to call it something. So wide personalization is the regime in which you don't need to know the name of their dogs or where they went to school. You just need to know their address. That you need to know how to spell their name correctly,
right?
And then the address.
Yeah. So the example. So in that case, you were taking. So people just listening to this, I know you're going to show an example, but most people are just consuming this via audio. Is wide personalization? This example is: look, you had a cartoon that fits this purpose. Use the same cartoon, but personalize the name. So that then you consider wide personalization. Just so people get that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's wide personalization. And I was just going to hold up an example. This is a form of big board. I'm going to back up so you can see it. It's made of half-inch
foam core or whatever.
Kind of foam core.
Yeah.
And then the back, there's a message and so forth. But, if I hold this up close, you can see that it's, starts out, hey, it's a bunch of cowboys out on the range at night sitting around the campfire, and one guy saying, "Ever tell you fellas the story of Billy the Kid?" Yep, sure did. The next one,
very
how about Wild Damon Johns?
And your cartoon style is very Gary Larson, Farsightish feel to it.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah,
it's fun stuff. So that's wide personalization, and it's very effective and scalable and something. There are great advantages to both wide and deep personalization. So deep personalization, by contrast, is the newer regime of personalization, where we get to do profile scrapes, and we can use AI tools like Seamless and Nimble to find out a lot about people before we ever reach out to them. Or you could just do some pretty watchful, you can be watchful.
Just use social and follow them. Right?
Yeah, you can watch for social. For trigger events, and you can find things, just little details that you can hone in on and use to create a gift that really gets someone's attention. So in that case, you're looking for, I don't know, what drives the person, and what are they talking about, thinking about. Certainly, that's what are they planning. What are they looking at? But it might also be helpful to find out the name of their dog. It could be that, or it could be, because if you're going to send a gift, then you want to send something that's relevant, and that's the way to find out what's relevant about a person you don't know yet.
Right, and so I think, it's fundamentally human, right? And this is the thing I want to get get back to and spend some more time on, because I think this is really one of the things that is most appealing to me about what you do and what you work on and so on, is that it really reinforces this idea that in business, whether it's sales, wherever, because we're trying to build relationships, it's about humans. And so I said the thing that I love about this contact marketing, and people who follow me know that I'm a huge believer that all starts at that first moment, right? It's all about relationships that we develop with people, that we're trying to answer the question, and everything we do, we're trying to answer the question, why you? All right, because that's what the customer's thinking.
That's a great way to put it.
Why you? And the thing with this, these tactics, contact marketing, gifting, we'll get into pocket campaigns. I love the pocket campaigns idea and so on, is that you're making yourself memorable in a way. And that is absolutely essential to winning people's business at the end of the day. And so, Daniel Kahneman did a bunch of work on this idea of a peak end theory of, people go through a decision and they go through an experience, and at the end they go back to make a decision about the experiences. They look at the peak event, during that experience as one of the two factors they factor in most into their decision. How you contact somebody could be the peak event in your whole engagement with them to getting an order that is memorable. We tend to think,
it certainly could be one.
Well, we tend to think these things have to, the only events that count are the ones that are so value laden, right? That help them understand their business better, or commercial insight. And it may just be, no, I just remember when Stu reached out to me, that was really cool.
Well, you have to include. I mean, you have to be relevant. You have to bring value that is timely and relevant, right? You have to do that. But if you've also reached out in a way that gets people saying, "Oh my God, I love the way this person thinks."
Thanks, right?
Right. I love the way you think. We've got to connect, and I want to find a way to work with you.
Yeah,
that's perfect. What a great way to start a relationship.
Absolutely. And then, if you go by the assumption that I largely do, is these days increasingly that the landscape is filled with competitors that are largely identical. Almost any market segment, if there's one competitor, tomorrow there's two, next week there's three, the week after there's four, because especially in tech space, the barriers to entry are so low. How do you make yourself stand out? And it could be just as simple as what happens in your first interaction using one of these strategies that Stu talks about in both his books, but in this last one, Get the Meeting, that make the difference. I mean, the difference is you have to assume you only win by 1%. You only have to be 1% different and better than everybody else. What's that 1%? Could just be how you reach out to them. So we talked about gifting, so let's go through pocket campaigns. And I love some of the examples that were in the book were great, but tell us what those are.
Well, so the way that we meet people generally is either we're reaching out to them. I mean, it's also inbound, but if we're meeting in person, it's outreach, but then it's also just chance meetings, or it could be meetings at networking events or seminars, etc. It's all those places where you give out a business card. And you hope that you've made a really great connection with someone who's actually someone you want to do business with. Well, I just find the whole notion of giving out a business card to be I'm not going to call it obsolete. I mean, I'm actually not going to call it old school.
Archaic.
Yeah, not old school.
Well, I was just at a conference in Vegas last week. I think I gave out 3 cards. Yeah. But I connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn and so on. But if I had a pocket campaign, that would have been different.
Yes. Yeah. See, so here's the deal. Here's the difference. Right now, business cards are in they're in kind of an arms race. Who can make it look more interesting? They're all based on this strategy of, this is here to make me look, of course it's to hand out contact details, but otherwise it's to make us look important. Wouldn't you say? And impressive and clever and so on. Well, and I think that's I think they're actually largely inert. And, if people are even handing out business cards, if some of them are just typing in their details in each other's phones, all of that's a missed opportunity.
Right.
And you and I know we've both encountered people who hand out a business card and you say, whoa, wait a minute, I've never seen a business card like this. It could be a fold out with a paper sculpture that comes out, or it could be a multi-tool.
Right.
It could be all kinds of other things other than what all the card companies want to sell you. And so I started with that. I thought, what made those things so different? And what made them stand out? What I realized is that they were all engagement devices. Every one of them, every one of the ones that I've gotten that I thought, oh my God, that's so cool, is it was so cool because it was different, first of all, but it's an engagement device. And, for those who are viewing this on camera, I'm going to show you one that kept showing up in Google searches for coolest business cards. And it's a multi-tool. It's stamped out of metal, and it's kind of thick metal, this one, but it's credit card sized, and it's for a bike repair shop. And you notice there's no, I don't know if you can see it, but there's no
hold it up closer.
There's no logo on it.
Right.
There's no traditional trappings of branding actually on it.
Yeah.
So it's just the guy's contact details. But here's the thing: this little multi-tool is the business card for the owner of a bike repair shop.
Yeah, and you can actually, so people can see it. It says stamped metal. You can actually, it's
a wrench.
It's a wrench.
It's a different size as a wrench, and you can change a tire with this thing. You can tighten spokes.
Yep.
So you take that with you, and wherever you're riding your bike, you can use it to fix it out on the trail. That's pretty cool. And so we've developed that a little bit further. So here's a. Well, actually, I want to describe it, but I'll also show it.
Use your words.
Here's another multi-tool, and it comes with a sleeve. So there's a little bit of branding on the sleeve, but when you pull it out, you see that, well, it's black, but it's it's got my actually it's a client's
Right.
campaign. Anyway, it has his contact details, and on the reverse, it has a URL to go to,
Mm-hmm.
and you go. It's for tool directions, how to use this tool. So you go to that page, and it has a video that shows you how to use the tool, all the different functionalities of it. But here's what's happening: it's setting a pixel, so that a tracking pixel, so that from that point on, we're gonna ads for whoever it is that handed this out are going to start appearing wherever you go on the web, wherever the recipient goes on the web. Well, business cards don't do that. They're inert. They don't do that. So essentially, what it is it's a campaign that you still dispense from your pocket. It's an involvement or an engagement device. It's either an invitation to play or use the device. And there's always a second step, or let's say a jump offer. Mm-hmm. It's not a promotional offer, but a second step where you go to either get something more or you learn how to use the tool or something. There's something more that you go to that draws you to a jump page where a tracking pixel is set, and now you've enrolled them in your persistence track in your contact marketing campaign, and you can actually then, by doing that, you pull that out of your pocket, give it out, and they go through that process. It becomes a campaign that you can measure response and ROI on.
Right. So, are there examples of companies? Because one of the things that oftentimes you sort of want, and especially maybe in instances where the salesperson's still uncertain about exactly what they do, is a card that sort of answers very precisely and concisely, hey, what do you do? Right? Some explanation of the business or their value proposition or something. I mean, so what have you seen clever about that?
Well, here's another one.
You have one, yes.
I got one. So this is Bruce Johnson's card. Well, it's his pocket campaign. So, it looks like a card.
Right.
And on the back, there's a cartoon. And what Bruce does is he sells business insurance. Mm-hmm. And when he goes to networking events, I think most people who are selling insurance probably run into the same response to, you're sitting at the table. Well, hey, my name is so-and-so. What do you do? And
I sell insurance.
You sell insurance. Okay. What do you do? We're here.
We're at an insurance convention. We all sell insurance.
That's true. So what we did for Bruce is this card is not just a card. It's a Z card. And in fact, it opens up. There's a whole folded up poster between the two cards, the front and the back. And it's a portfolio of cartoons about business and insurance together. And so it turns into this little, item of fascination. Right. People they pass them around on the table. And Bruce told me that the fourth card or pocket campaign that he handed out turned into a sale. And that's really cool. I have cool business cards. They have cartoons on them. Or I can put together really cool business cards, but I've never, ever experienced a sale from the handing out of my business card alone.
Right.
But Bruce did, because the fourth one he handed to said, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And they showed it around the office. They kept showing it around, and ended up calling Bruce 2 months later with an order.
And have anybody used the pocket campaigns as part of a direct mail campaign? I mean, to actually send them out physically?
That would be interesting too, I guess. I guess you could. Well, the thing is, I don't know what you want to do. I got to think about that a bit.
Okay,
here's the
that's
thing.
Fine.
They can be kind of expensive. The multi-tools.
Sure.
The Z cards are, I think, about $3 a piece, and the multi-tools are about $10. Now, mind you, if we think of those as contact campaigns, well, those are cheap contact campaigns.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
If we think of them as business cards, they're totally expensive. They're ridiculous.
Right.
But I think really, in essence, it's an involvement device that leads you to a next step online. And from that point on, you're now enrolled in a persistence campaign, a digital persistence campaign. So it could be any form of that. And I'll just tell you one other story that I think is really amazing, because it shows the value of having something that you can hand out that really causes people to get engaged. And that is, I'm holding up a piece of brown sheet rubber, and so one card was printed on that rubber.
Yeah, I remember this from the book. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was printed on that rubber, but it was stretched on a jig. So it was printed and then taken off the jig once the ink cures and dries. And so now all the contact details are squeezed together.
Yeah, it looks like a black box on the.
It's kind of like a balloon that's not blown up,
right?
And so people just naturally they just grab it at both ends to stretch it so they can read it. And so the guy whose card this was telling me about how he would. Let's say he was at a pub. He said that he likes to go out to pubs a lot. So he's at a pub, sits down at the bar, and starts talking to someone. And they get into a conversation. What do you do? And what do you do? And they get to the point where they're trading business cards. Right. And that's an ambush. When you whip out that little rubber card, and they automatically grab it, stretch it, and it reveals it's Paul Nielsen's card. He's a fitness trainer, and guess what? He already has you exercising.
Yeah, he's got you working out, right?
You're already pulling on the thing. So people, they enjoy it so much. It's a visual metaphor of the value, or let's say the fun that Paul brings to working out. And so they'll ask, oh my gosh, can I keep this? Sure, of course, it's my business card. I'm going to keep yours. So then they take it. This is one of those cards that they keep in their pocket rather than throw in the box where all the rest of them go. And they show it around. Start showing it off to their colleagues.
Yeah, it's going to stay in your pocket. That rubber is. But I think you raised an interesting point, though, is through all these things, with gifting and pocket campaigns, and the book is full of other categories, how to use video, unsolicited proposals, which is a really interesting one as well. Guy had an early boss that was a big fan of that. His thing was quote early and often, and it's a great way to engage people. Is that they're fun? I mean, this is something that not many people, I think, are having fun in sales these days. I mean, you think about the rank of SDRs that are tasked to make 50, 100 calls a day, and it's thankless hard work, right? And not terribly fun. But the reason why the turnovers happen so much. But this is an opportunity for people to say, here's something we can do creative that actually is fun. And
it's fun.
That resonates with the receiver as well as the giver.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you, here's the effect. Of course, it's fun to do. I mean, I've throughout my career, I've been the guy sending cartoons, and going, can't wait till they get it, and have the conversation. But so it's fun to do. But here's the effect of that fun thing on the recipient. Paul Nielsen's card, back to his story. When people would take that card and show it around at the office, well, they look at this card I got from this guy, and they pull it out and they'd stretch it because everybody stretches it.
Right.
Look at that. See, he already has you exercising. They'd have a good laugh. And and here's the effect that it had. Every time Paul handed out one of his cards, he'd get 3 or 4 new clients. That's unbelievable. Like I told you before, I have cool business cards. They've got cartoons on them and so on. I've never had anyone see my business card and then do business with me
because of the card.
Alone.
Well, I can. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Me too. Yeah, it is amazing. That's why that part was really intriguing because if you're anybody who travels at all, right, in business, and you sit next to somebody on the airplane, and invariably you start talking, unless you're one of those people, just put your headphones on right away. And hey, what do you do? What do you do? I've gotten business from that, and it wasn't based on my business cards; it was based on the conversation. But you make yourself more memorable, certainly.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much what we're trying to do these days, to break through the noise. It's not just to break through the noise, but it's to break through in a way that you are memorable to them. And again, this ultimately boils down to us as people and the difference that we're making in the lives of the people we're talking to. And being memorable is one way to do that.
Yeah. It makes all the difference in the world. And I've got a favorite when I run ads for my books. I've got this one favorite headline that I use, which is one meeting can change everything. And it really can. If you think about every great thing that's happened in our lives, everything, it all starts from meeting and making connections with someone who changes your life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And without meetings, nothing happens.
Well, that is true too, right? Can't.
Yep.
We like to say nothing happens until you sell something. Well, you're not going to sell something till you meet with somebody. So
Exactly.
let's get it right down to the basics. All right. Well, Stu, it's great talking to you. Tell people how they can find out more about your new book and connect with you.
Well, thanks for asking. I've got 2 books out. One and they go together. One is not meant to replace the other. So, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone it's been out since 2016. It's got 20 categories of contact marketing campaign types. You need to know about those if you're going to use contact marketing. And then the new book, Get the Meeting, is a companion to that, and it's a group of case studies with photography this time, so you get to see what these campaigns look like.
Illustrations, everything.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's
There's
really,
all kinds of stuff in there.
Really a field guide for the first book, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're available anywhere books are sold. And as far as reaching me, well, I'd love it when people connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me they heard me talk on your podcast. That would be wonderful. Great way to get through. Or if you read the book, something like that. So contact me and connect with me on LinkedIn. That'd be great. And I guess I should also mention that I have a podcast as well, How to Get a Meeting with Anyone, the podcast. And we talk to people all the time about these crazy stories they have of what they did to break through to people that have changed their scale.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. Well, everybody has a podcast these days, so you can't be alive.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't be alive and not have a podcast. So it's pretty much a condition of life. But all right. Well, Stu, as always, fantastic to talk to you, and look forward to doing it again.
Thank you so much, Andy. Great to be on the show.
Okay, friends, that was Accelerate for the week. First of all, as always, I want to thank you for joining me. And I want to thank my guest, Stu Heinecke. Join me again next week as my guest will be Mercy Bell. Mercy is a principal at Dogpatch Advisors, and we're going to be talking about intentional outbound. It's all part of what Dogpatch Advisors calls outbound operations, which takes the burden of prospecting from reps to give them time to explore human connections creatively. And you'll definitely want to check this out. So be sure to join us then. Now, before you go, don't forget to check out The Sales House. Success in sales, and really in life, is all about selling to humans. And The Sales House is my growth training platform for B2B sellers just like you who really want to learn how to more effectively sell to another human being. So for more information, visit thesaleshouse.com, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. All right, thanks again for joining me. Until next week, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Good selling, everyone.